Hello and welcome to this short presentation called Understanding Mindfulness. My name is Miffy Hode and I'm a Development Officer with Mental Health Ireland. In this presentation I'm going to talk to you about what mindfulness is and describe some mindfulness practices that you can use to reduce stress, raise resilience and improve your well-being. Mindfulness is the difference between having your mind full and being mindful of the present moment. The present moment is here and now. Mindfulness practices help us to stay present, not worrying about what's in the past, not worrying about what's in the future, not dwelling on any of that, but choosing instead to be present to what's actually happening in the here and now. Mindfulness practices help us to be free from judgment and agenda. When we judge things, people, places, we're deciding whether they're good or bad, right or wrong, kind or unkind, pleasant or unpleasant. And all of this takes us away from the moment. Having an agenda means that we have expectations. We want things to work out a certain way. We want people to behave in a certain way or say certain things. And then when they don't, or when the situation doesn't unfold as we wanted it to, we experience disappointment. Mindfulness is about being self-aware, knowing ourselves, understanding ourselves, being open to how we might be growing and changing. It's different to being self-conscious. Self-consciousness is stressful because we're worrying about what people think of us, what we look like, what we sound like, etc. Whereas self-awareness is more compassionate. It's about accepting ourselves as we are. Mindfulness is about compassion for ourselves and for others. Compassion is feelings of kindness, feelings of gratitude, and just extending understanding to ourselves and to others. So practices that help us stay present in the moment include breath awareness. So taking a breath, focusing on that breath for the moment is a way of keeping us present, a way of bringing us back to the present moment because we're choosing to focus on our breath instead of any other thing that we could be thinking about or worrying about or stressing about. Taking deep and slow breaths also help to slow down the autonomic nervous system, so that helps reduce stress. And the other thing that the breath does is it just gives us something to focus on, something to anchor us in this moment. We have to breathe anyway, so by being mindful of our breath, it helps to slow it down, it helps to bring us back into the moment, and it's a soothing practice. Another mindfulness practice that keeps us in the present moment is the body scan. And it's a progressive assessment of the sensations in the body. You can start at your feet, you can work up through your legs, into the trunk of your body, into your arms and hands, your shoulders, your neck, your head, your face. It's a progressive way of just being present to the sensations that exist in your body, not trying to change anything, not trying to regulate anything, just being present to what's there. It is another way of helping you to focus on something other than your thoughts, your worries, your concerns. It's also a very relaxing practice. It helps to release tension from the body. Simply by paying attention to the body will automatically relax. Another mindfulness practice that can keep you present in the moment is by engaging your senses. So your sense of touch, your sense of sight, your taste, your hearing, your sense of smell. All of these are ways of experiencing the present moment for what it is. Another way of focusing your attention, being mindful of what you can hear, what you can see, what you can smell, what you can taste, what you can feel with your sense of touch, even your sixth sense, your intuition. These are all senses that you experience life with, experience the moment through, and help you to choose not to be following thoughts that could be stressful or distressing or worrying. Instead, you're coming back to the present moment through your senses. Practices that help to keep us free from judgment and agenda include managing expectations. When we have expectations, we want things to turn out a certain way. When they don't, we get disappointed, or we get frustrated, or we get sad. Whatever the emotion is, it's because it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. If we can be less attached to how we want things to turn out, then we can experience the present moment differently. We can experience the present moment for what it is, instead of being attached heavily to how we want it to be. Even if it's not pleasant, we can simply be mindful of the fact that it's not pleasant, it's not how we'd like it to be, but it is what it is. This is a practice that helps to release us from judging it as good and bad, judging it as right or wrong, and having an agenda as to how we want it to be. Having a flexible mindset, so just being able to bend with the way things are, similar to managing our expectations, being flexible in how the outcomes unfold of any given moment. Practicing acceptance. Carl Jung is quoted as saying, "What we resist persists." When we resist things, when we don't want things to be the way they are and resist how they are, we are going against the tide. We're coming up against blocks all the time, and we get frustrated, we get annoyed, we get upset. When we practice acceptance, it's not saying that we have to be a doormat. It's not accepting bad behavior from other people. It's accepting that a situation isn't pleasant. It's accepting that a situation isn't the way we'd like it to be. Again, it's related to being flexible. It's related to managing expectations. It's about a mindset, really, of accepting things. That doesn't mean that you have to tolerate things that aren't good for you or anything like that, but it's about accepting things as they are instead of trying to fight against them. The other thing that we can do to help us to remain free from judgment and agenda is to remain curious. And this is our ability to sort of step back and have a look at something, study it for what it is, and that all helps in that process of acceptance, of being flexible, and so on. Practices that help us to be more self-aware include identifying our feelings in the moment. Just simply by saying, right now I'm feeling sad. Right now I'm feeling tired. Right now I'm feeling annoyed. Right now I'm a bit confused. Right in this moment I don't actually know how I feel. And that's okay. It's about identifying that. And that helps us to accept the moment for what it is, and accepting sometimes overwhelming feelings. The thing about feelings is that they change and move. They don't stay the same. You might return to them again, but they don't actually stay the same. They're a little bit like weather. So just by identifying how you're feeling in any given moment is a mindfulness practice that helps raise your self-awareness. Another practice that helps raise self-awareness is to observe your inner and your outer world without judgment or agenda. So again, you're just having a look at what's going on within you. You're not judging it. You don't have an agenda. You're simply accepting it for what it is. The same with your outer world. What's going on around you? You're just identifying what it is. And this observing is a way of stepping back, not getting attached to what's happening, just witnessing what's happening. And it's a mindfulness practice that helps us to remain more calm in a situation because we're taking a broader perspective. Another self-awareness practice is to observe your mindset. What are you thinking about? Are you in the habit of thinking about? What are your predominant thoughts? And about being able to recognize that with a mindfulness practice, you can step back and say, do you know, these thoughts aren't serving me. These thoughts aren't helping me. These thoughts are stressing me more. What thoughts do I want to choose instead? What do I want to focus on instead? So observing your mindset is a practice that helps raise your self-awareness. Practices that promote compassion for yourself and others include random acts of kindness. So these random acts of kindness can be to yourself or to others. And when we practice kindness to ourselves or to others, it really promotes a sense of well-being within us. It feels good. It's nice to be nice, right? So random acts of kindness can include making a cup of tea for somebody and saying thank you for being in your life, or for making your dinner, or whatever it is that you're thanking that person for. It might be holding a door open for somebody. It might be helping somebody out when they're stuck. Whatever it might be, random acts of kindness without expectation of reward are really good ways of promoting well-being in ourselves, and bringing a sense of calm to the person that we're being kind to and to ourselves. We must include ourselves in this kindness. Another practice that promotes compassion for yourself and for others is loving kindness practice. So extending loving kindness to yourself, extending loving kindness to other people. And sometimes it can be challenging, but you can extend loving kindness to somebody who maybe you're having difficulty with, maybe you have a challenging relationship in your life. So you start with extending the loving kindness to yourself. You then extend it to people you know and love, and then you extend it to people that you're having difficulty with. And you try and do this without judgment and agenda, with as much genuine love and compassion as you can muster for that person, without expecting anything in return. It's just a practice of compassion. And it's beautiful, it's very rewarding, and it's very soothing. And it helps to foster more contentment, more generosity, more kindness in yourself. Another practice that promotes compassion for yourself and others is the hand-on-heart practice. This can be used in two ways. The hand-on-heart practice, you take your predominant hand, so if you're right-handed or left-handed, use your predominant hand and place it on your chest area, so just above your diaphragm and just where your sternum is, in the middle of your breastbone. So you place your hand there and you focus on the sensation that is generated by your hand being on your heart. So the warmth is there, you can breathe into that area where your hand is on your heart. And this practice slows down your breathing, slows down your heart rate, reduces blood pressure, releases oxytocin in your brain, and is a great way to manage anxiety and stress. And this practice, when you sit with your hand on your heart and you focus on the sensations there, you slow your breathing down, this practice is a great way of reducing stress and bringing yourself into this moment and extending compassion to yourself. It's sometimes described as giving yourself a hug, and oxytocin is released when you hug another person. So another way that you can use the hand-on-heart practice, which is especially significant now during these times when we're all practicing physical distancing, is when you're, instead of giving somebody else a hug, the both of you can place your hand on your heart and extend loving kindness to one another at a distance. And that hand on heart practice makes you feel like, and makes your brain respond as though you're actually having a hug from the other person, but you're giving yourselves a hug and extending loving kindness to one another. So it's a nice practice in these days when we can't actually give the people that we know and love actual hugs. So that's two ways that you can use the hand on heart practice. Gratitude practice is another way of fostering compassion for yourself and for others. Gratitude is about looking at the glass half full instead of the glass half empty. And it's about counting your blessings, being mindful of the things that you appreciate in your life, that are good in your life, the people, the places, the things that support you. They can be material objects that you're grateful for. They can be people and relationships in your life that you're grateful for. It can be circumstances and situations that you're grateful for. It can be places that you're grateful for. But by stopping and reflecting on the things that you are grateful for in your life helps to make you feel better about life. It actually changes your brain chemistry, so it fosters the production of the feel-good hormones, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, by practicing gratitude. It also can change your neural pathways in your brain by simply spending more time every day reflecting on what you're grateful for, looking for the silver linings in difficult situations, appreciating people, places and things. These are all ways of practicing gratitude. You might even have a gratitude journal and write down the things that you're grateful for on a daily basis. It's a particularly nice way to end your day, writing your gratitude journal before you go to sleep. So your focus before you fall asleep is on all the good things that happened and all the things that you're grateful for in your life. So those are some practices that you can employ in terms of bringing more mindfulness into your life. And you can make your practice formal or informal. And your formal practice might involve a sitting practice where you sit and you practice all these mindfulness practices, or some of them, or whichever ones you are drawn to. And an informal practice is where you engage in mindfulness practices as you go through your day. So as you are experiencing each moment, you might bring some mindfulness practices to those moments. Maybe while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, or the toast to pop, or the internet to load, or if you're on hold on the phone, or you're waiting for somebody to finish doing something before you can go on to do something else. Those are all opportunities to practice some breath awareness, or to practice some gratitude, or to spend a little moment with how am I feeling right now. And it's considered an informal practice when you are just practicing as you go through your day. And the more formal practice is where you set time aside to actually sit down and practice your mindfulness. So however you choose to practice mindfulness, and however much of it you choose to engage in, whether it's small amounts of breath awareness or whether it's bigger mindfulness practices, there's lots of apps available. There's Headspace, there's Calm, and there's various recordings that you can listen to on YouTube that are helpful to keep you focused if you're practicing formally. And there's lots of ideas there as well on the various apps and websites that you can visit to get more information about mindfulness. Mindfulness.org is a particularly useful website if you're interested in exploring more about mindfulness. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for your time and for listening to this presentation. I hope that some of the ideas presented will resonate with you and that you'll be able to include them in your daily life, and that they'll help to bring you some more calm, reduce stress, raise your resilience, and improve your well-being through the mindfulness practices presented here. So there are 4 presentations in this series: 5 ways to well-being, understanding stress, understanding resilience, and understanding mindfulness. And I hope by listening to these presentations that you are able to get a more rounded idea of ways to support your well-being through all these practices. So bye for now.